In the last video, I left off talking about how I finally text my Aunt Debbie to try to make peace so we could all just be there for my mom because, things were not good. I had just found out that my mom her cancer had metastasized to her tailbone, basically, her spine. So the next morning, I had to bring my son. This was like his first field trip ever to this farm, and I had already paid for it. It's in October, it's like 2 weeks before Halloween at this point, or like a week before Halloween. I really didn't want to go. I told my mom, I said, I'm going to bring him, and then I'm coming right to the hospital. At this point in time now, the doctor still hadn't come into her room to talk to her about this scan. My God, how long am I going to have to know this for until it's confirmed by the doctor? Maybe I was wrong looking. I don't know. I don't know if I did the right thing in this situation, but I really felt like it wasn't my place to tell her. I wanted her to hear it from a doctor. And I didn't tell my brother, but I told my Aunt Debbie because at this point in time, I felt like I just had to tell somebody because I was so in shock, and I just didn't know what to do. It's 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm on the trip with my son, walking around this pumpkin farm with his nursery school class. It's 20 minutes after I got to the pumpkin farm. My phone's ringing, and I look down, and it's my brother. I text him back, and I'm like, listen, I can't talk right now. I'm on a field trip with, my son's class. I said, I'll call you back when it's over. Sorry. It'll be over in a half hour, I told him, or whatever it was. All of a sudden, he's all concerned and needs to know right away what's going on. Looking back now, my aunt must have called him and told them, Liana knows something, or Liana. I wasn't not telling him to keep the information from him because I knew eventually he was going to find out within hours. I didn't tell him because my brother in the past, when I have told him things, he gets right on the phone with my mom and calls her up and gets her fucking crazy. So I learned my lesson. I was like, I'm not going to tell him. Let him find out when everybody else finds out. I made a conscious decision to do that. My Aunt Debbie took it upon herself to tell him. I text him, I tell him I'll call him back. All of a sudden, I get a text back from him. I need to know now. And then you can tell me the long version later. So I was like, okay. Text him real quick. I said, they found something on her spine. The trip ends, okay. I put my son in the car. I call my brother. I explain the whole story to him in detail. He starts fucking arguing with me. Oh, well, let's just see what the doctor says, Liana. You might be wrong. I'm like, no, Steven, I'm 99.9% sure. But my brother, he thinks he's the smartest person in the world. So there's no way stupid Liana could know this. He underestimates me. And I hope he learned that in the last fucking year to not underestimate me. I'm a lot smarter than you fucking think I am. Way fucking smarter than you think I am. You don't even know how smart. Trust me. You'll see. So anyway, I don't even remember at what point that day we found out that that's what was causing all the pain. I go to the hospital. They finally put my mom in a room, right? She calls me up. She goes, Liana, are you calling the social worker up at the hospital asking her about if I have a healthcare proxy or not? And I'm like, no, why would I do such a thing? She's like, oh, I knew it. It has to be Satan. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, the social worker told me that some woman keeps calling up and asking all his personal information. And the social worker can't tell her, obviously, because she can't violate HIPAA law. My mom hangs up with me and she's like, let me call the social worker. Calls the social worker back and tells her not to tell Satan anything if she calls. In the meantime, though, I text my girlfriend who's a nurse, actually at that hospital where my mom was. And I'm like, are they allowed to give out information, medical information, personal information like that? She's like, no. I explained to her the whole situation with my brother and the wife and how we didn't trust her and this and that. And I'm like, who the fuck are you to be calling and asking personal information like that about my mom? Why do you want to know if my mom has a healthcare proxy? I don't understand. My girlfriend, who's a nurse, tells me, when you come in tonight, she goes, come to the nurse's desk and come see me. This was a miracle that happened, okay? Miracle, divine intervention, whatever you want to call it. My girlfriend ended up being a nurse in the unit on the floor that my mom was in. And I don't know how I would have gotten through this without her. I just gotta tell you guys. My guardian angel dropped. She's my spirit guide. I don't even know how this happened. It's just crazy. She was a nurse in that unit on that floor. So I would see her. So she tells me, come find me tonight. When I get in, she tells me what time she's getting in. She's like, I'm going to give you a healthcare proxy form. Have your mom sign it. Because my mom does not trust this girl. And I just want to add, I don't trust her either. Couple of nights prior to this, and I'll show you guys the text messages, it seemed like my brother was trying to keep me away from the hospital. He didn't want me there for some reason. This was a text that he sent me on her second day in the hospital, and you could see how he's telling me I could stay with her tonight until she gets a room so you don't have to worry about coming back to the hospital. The whole time, and you guys could pause this and read these texts, the whole time he did not worry about me not being at the hospital or anything like that. All of a sudden, he's worried about me not being at the hospital. What do you care if I'm there or not? And I started getting suspicious because it was he's questioning what I told him the doctor said. And it's almost like he thinks I'm giving him fake information or something. Meanwhile, you were in the city that night. So what are you worried about? That coupled along with the fact that they were going through my mom's safe and my mom was on a really heavy dose of painkillers. I didn't know what they were going to do to manipulate her. So I got the, healthcare proxy form. I thought it was important that I got it signed. She might be playing nice to her, but she don't trust her. And as far as she could throw her. I called the social worker. And I was like, what's going on? I said, my mom told me that somebody keeps calling the hospital. And she's like, oh my God, she keeps calling and calling and calling. Those are exact words, the social worker. Calling and calling and calling. Leaving messages and asking, personal shit. Does my mom have a healthcare proxy? And she's like, I didn't know what to do. And my mom told her, do not talk to her. Do not give her any information. Don't talk to her. It was just weird to me. I'm like, why does this girl care if my mom has a healthcare proxy? And why is she calling? Why isn't my brother calling? This isn't somebody who's been around for 20, 30 years and my mom loves her and, we've been close to her. This is a girl who just a couple of months prior to my mom's diagnosis couldn't stand my mom and treated her like shit and talked to her like she's shit. They had just started getting cool with each other a couple of months prior to this. You're comfortable enough to start calling and asking about healthcare proxies? I was fucking really annoyed. That's not your fucking place. First of all, she has a son. My brother should be doing it. Second of all, she has a daughter. If my brother can't do something, then that leaves me to do it, not you. Am I wrong? I don't know. There was no need for her to be asking at this point in time. So that night, I go down to the hospital. I knew they were coming. So I go into my girlfriend's in the, at the nurse's station. She hands me a healthcare proxy form. Obviously, she signs it and puts me, and we put my brother down. And I told her to put him down as a secondary, but just put me as a primary. First of all, my brother fucking works a full-time job. I'm home all day. So if anybody's going to be in a better position for that, it's going to be me because I'm home all day. And I could be there at the drop of a dime. I'm the one who's been taking care of her. I'm the one who knows all her medical information, her prescriptions, and been taking her to doctor's offices. I'm sorry, I'm the caretaker. I should be the healthcare proxy. You're not taking care of her. I am. It makes sense. You didn't even talk to her for fucking 2 years. Now all of a sudden you want to be the her healthcare proxy? First of all, the chances of you even having to use the healthcare proxy is slim to none. It's a formality. I wasn't really even worried about having to use it. But at this point in time, after they had gone in her safe, gone through her house, looking through her fucking personal mail, and all this other shit, and now they're worried about her healthcare proxy. Why are they worried about this all of a sudden? It just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, these people who didn't come to the emergency room, didn't fucking call and check up on her all night, all of a sudden you're worried about her healthcare proxy? I don't understand. And just to let you guys know, a healthcare proxy, all it is somebody who, if you're in a hospital and you become incapacitated, you can't speak for yourself, you're on a feeding tube or something like that, that person then is able to step in your shoes and make medical decisions for you. So if, you tell your healthcare proxy, listen, I don't ever want to be put on a feeding tube or any kind of breathing apparatus, your healthcare proxy is the person who's going to tell the doctors that. So you kind of need to have a conversation with that person. And I knew what my mom wanted. I know my mom, if there was a chance of her, surviving and living a normal life, she would want to live. But if she was just going to, at this point in time, become incapacitated and, only to be brought back to life for what? So she could suffer and then die? She wouldn't want to live. I knew that. My mom did have a healthcare proxy in her safe. That was with her will and everything. But it was my Aunt Betty, and she's a fucking idiot too. Again, she lives from the hospital. She's about 30 minutes away. I'm not leaving this woman to make medical decisions with my mom's life. I'm sorry. I just told her, like, Mom, listen, just sign it. This way it's taken care of. Put Steven as a secondary on there. So in case they can't get in touch with me, they can get in touch with him and call it a day. This way, next time she asks about it, you tell her, my healthcare proxy is my daughter. She has the paperwork at her house, and she'll show it to you. I was at the hospital every night until about 2 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't leave. I felt bad leaving her. I told my husband, I said, listen, I just don't have a good feeling about what's going on with my mom, and I'm going to spend every second I can with her. I didn't even have to tell him that, but you know what I'm saying? He understood. It was not even a question. The normal spouse would understand that. So now all of a sudden, my brother and his wife are up at the hospital. Every night they're coming, and she walks in and she's trying to act like she was so cozy with my mom, and she's coming in and she's acting like she's my mom's best friend. So one night I was gonna leave my phone and walk out of the room and see if they were trying any funny shit, talking to my mom, because you guys gotta remember, my mom's on the fucking heaviest dose of painkillers, so she's fucking in la la land, and I'm I don't know what these people are trying to do with all this sneaky shit, looking in her safe, going through the mail, worrying about her healthcare proxy now, what are they doing? And all of a sudden acting all friendly with her. His wife would come in the room and be like, oh my God, did you talk to your friend Sandy today? I talked to Sandy. Did you talk to your cousin, blah, blah, blah? I talked to her. My mom's like, why the fuck is this girl on the phone with my cousin? Why is she talking to my friends? I don't think this girl understood the kind of relationship that me and my mom had. We were tight. We told each other everything. Down to the consistency of each other's shit. You know what I'm saying? Everything. There was nothing that wasn't discussed with me and my mom. We talked about pretty much everything. I think the only thing I really didn't talk to her about was sex. I talked to her about everything. If my asshole was itchy, my mom knew about it. That's how close we were. Not to be gross, but... And this girl came in, trying to act like her and my mom were, so close, and they were talking all the time, and, they were best friends. And I'd just sit there and, be like... Okay, you fucking asshole. Mind you guys, I also had to refrain from wanting to fucking beat the shit out of this girl because she went through my mom's shit. So I had to just sit there. When she came in the room, I can't even explain what happened to me when this girl used to come in the hospital room. I would get so agitated. Everybody did. It wasn't just me. I just want to make that clear. My mom's roommates that were in the hospital, she went through 20 roommates, even in previous hospital stays, at least 5 different people complained about my brother's wife. That she talks too much, that she sounds crazy. Somebody called her Niagara Falls because they were watching, the televisions in the hospital. If you didn't have money to put the TV on, they had this easy listening, Sounds of Nature channel. One of them was Niagara Falls. Brother's wife came in the room one night and the lady was like, oh my God, it was Niagara Falls. She just didn't shut up. She doesn't. She's so high-strung, this girl. Here's another thing. There's no sense of, the atmosphere. My mom's in the hospital. She's in bad shape. She's in a lot of pain. She can't get up. She can't walk. And this girl would come in and have, no sense of, my mom's condition, how out of it she was. And, my mom would just be like, yeah. She's all fucking fucked up on opiate painkillers. And this girl's just oh, you want to see this? Let me see this. Let me show you this. I remember that day. Okay, it's all coming back. It's all coming back, Leanna. I'm in the room. They come, her and my brother, right? It's so fucking annoying. My mom's like, oh, Lee, let me see pictures of... My mom called me Lee. You guys are probably like, who the fuck is Lee? That's me. My mom called me Lee. Nobody called me Leanna. They called me Lee. Or if you know me really, really long time, you call me Lee. My family, everybody calls me Lee. Nobody calls me Leanna, really. So my mom's like, oh, you brought Jesse on the trip. Let me see. So I was like, oh, I'm going to copy the pictures from my phone onto your phone. I'll Bluetooth them over. AirDrop, whatever. So I put them on her phone because I knew my mom would love, have a fucking, oh my God, he went on his first field trip. Because if she wasn't sick and she was in the hospital, my mom would have been on a field trip with me. Definitely. No question. My mom would have taken off to come on his first field trip. I put him on and I'm showing her, the pictures. I'm scrolling through them and here comes Satan. Oh, look at the baby dish. My mom's looking at pictures of my son that she asked me to show her. And this girl comes in and she's putting the fucking phone right in front of my phone in her face. And I'm like, could you fucking wait? All of a sudden, this girl who had no interest in my mom previous to this is all interested in her and showing her pictures and buying her drinks, and she never fucking cared about my mom ever, ever, ever like that. Ever. And now all of a sudden she's like, oh, here, you know. If you look at the text between her and my mom's phone, they're so superficial. She sends a picture of the baby and my mom's like, oh, she's so cute. You know, there's no conversation, nothing there. She's a fucking chameleon, narcissistic chameleon. She was doing what she thinks a daughter-in-law should do. She was playing the role of a daughter-in-law. But we all know she didn't really give a shit about my mom, because if she did, maybe she would have, like, let the umbilical cord go, took the fucking leash off, let my brother sit there with her for a few hours at night. The only time my brother came while my mom was in the hospital was during his lunchtime by himself. Other than that, she had to be with him. They would come for like an hour and they'd fucking bounce. We gotta go do this. We have to go to Stop and Shop. We gotta go to Target. The baby gotta go to bed. The baby gotta eat. Always fucking had an excuse to get out of the hospital. Every fucking time. Every time. Sorry, I just like got off on a tear. But she was being really obnoxious that night and like trying to act like she's all like cool with my mom. Like, they don't realize when they used to leave, my mom would be like, oh my God. Oh, like this girl. Oh my God. And we told everybody. Nurses knew, the roommates knew, everybody knew. It's like so much. It's so much. Like I said, she had no sense of like what's going on, like to act calmer. It's like, all right, we're in a hospital. Take it down 10 notches, please. All right. So I'm going to end this one here. This is only the first day in the hospital that she had a room. Wait until you hear the rest. It gets fucking crazy. I'll see you guys in the next.